In a bright, noisy city called Billionaire Town, there was a magical factory that made enormous golden hats. Whenever someone became very rich, the factory workers would rush out shouting, "Quick, give him the genius hat!" One day, a man named Jeff built a giant shop called Everything Mart. It began as a tiny online bookstore, but Jeff was very good at spotting big waves before other people. He saw the internet growing like a giant river and thought, "If I build my boat now, maybe I can ride this river all the way to the ocean." So he gathered money, hired clever people, built warehouses, studied systems, and kept expanding. Books became toys. Toys became tools. Tools became groceries. Groceries became clouds. Soon, Everything Mart was so enormous that people could barely see the sky behind it. The golden hat workers arrived immediately. "He must be a universal genius!" they cried. They placed the biggest golden hat in the city on Jeff's head. It was so large that birds nested in it. A small owl named Professor Hoot watched from a lamppost and said, "Hold on, he is clearly very clever. But are we sure that building a giant shop means he understands everything?" The crowd gasped. One man dropped his shopping bag. A woman whispered, "But he is rich." Professor Hoot adjusted his tiny glasses. Yes, very rich, very successful, very strategic. But success in one giant machine does not automatically mean wisdom in every part of life. The crowd looked confused, so Professor Hoot drew a cartoon chart on the pavement. One box said, "Good at timing." Another said, "Good at raising money." Another said, "Good at scaling systems." Another said, "Good at long-term execution." Then he drew a separate box far away that said, "Deep emotional wisdom." And another, "Original inventor of civilization." And another, "Warm philosophical saint." "These boxes," said the owl, "are not the same boxes." The people blinked. The golden hat workers looked nervous. "But he built Everything Mart," they said. "Yes," said Professor Hoot, "that is a huge achievement, but he did not invent books. He did not invent the internet. He did not invent delivery vans, warehouses, credit cards, or human laziness on rainy afternoons." A delivery van drove past and honked. "He combined many existing things into one enormous machine," said the owl. "That is not nothing. That is powerful, but it is a different kind of greatness." Then the golden hat began to wobble. It was too large. It covered Jeff's eyes.